Super Mega Death Rocket flies in, and 100 Thieves are ready for the counterattack. Vex makes his way into the fight, and now you've got Abbedagga looking to set it up, but it's a double kill back over to Someday. A 1-for-2 trade so far. Afremove finds his fence line only under the crab, and there they go! Tokoi is already down, and FlyQuest will find themselves cut to pieces. Someday deals with multiple players on FlyQuest. He picks up one. Here comes another. And there they go. They pull him right back in with the chains. And now Afromove's going to be your second kill over to Someday. 100 Thieves just won the game.
Welcome back, everyone, to the LCS as 100 Thieves picks up the win against FlyQuest. And as they do, we're swapping out Mark for Kobe to help us break down this one and preview the next match.
He ran away as soon as Team Liquid lost because I won the bet.
Yeah.
Mark,
You won the bet?
Yeah.
So, anyway, as soon as you walked through those doors of the studio, Mark was gone.
Yep.
It was
he
like,
went
where'd
running
he
for
go?
the hills.
Yeah.
he's gonna have to pay up on the dive. He picked up basically Jat's side of the Team Liquid. He was like, they're only gonna lose maybe one more game at most.
So make sure you tune into the dive if you're not already. You should be consuming that content, but especially here to watch Mark suffer. And while Mark has already lost his bet, Raz, you are now back against the wall with this FlyQuest loss. You had said no more than 6 losses for this team in the split.
No more losses.
This puts them at 6 here against 100 Thieves, and so
They
I
ain't
worry
losing.
for you, friend. I worry for you.
They're sweeping it next week into the final Super Week.
Okay, well, I've got...
TLC9.
So you're actually still believing in your side
Hell
of the bet.
no, but I need to. I need
But
to.
he needs to,
Find
exactly.
this
Raz is a type of like buy high, sell low
Right.
type of person.
Yeah,
True.
There was,
See how many
there was
people I can
movement
get.
at least, I guess.
I'm going to try and see how many people I can get confident in this one so they can get looped in the same bet.
Oh, Lord. Let's get
I'm
in.
not going to be the
bet.
only one dying on this one.
Let's get into this one. Starting in the draft, I'm going to hand things off to Emily here. Quite a change from game 1, just in terms of, for example, the styles of the top laners, without a doubt. But we also got a Vex
Feels
in
like
the mid
you're
lane.
calling them out.
I am kind of calling him out.
Mark did that with Someday yesterday. But yeah, there are a few things I want to point out. First of all, the fact the Vex got picked against the Ahri obviously ended up being a really impactful pick, something that they've been workshopping in scrims from what Abbedagga has said. And then the first pick, Nautilus, so they can pick up the Zeri, presumably thinking that 100 Thieves would not play Zeri into that anyway. So they end up picking Jinx for teamfight comps around FBI, and Someday busting out the Aatrox, which is, if people don't know, one of his most played champions. So he's incredibly comfortable in that.
It's also just generically so good into so many tanks because of the amount of healing that Aatrox has.
Yeah.
So you get your lane advantage, and then you get to transition with more items into being a similar effective frontline as a lot of tanks with a lot more threat.
Yeah, against a pretty straightforward dive comp with the, Ahri, more specifically the Nautilus and Sion and Viego, so it makes a lot of sense there. I thought 100 Thieves just played simply better, and it's a huge breath of a relief coming in from yesterday's game where they were just 10K gold down, and in that hole where their setup around objectives were consistently strong. He was always looking for the engage. Same with Abbedagga on that pick on Vex.
Yeah, I think we saw a lot of these fights go back and forth. This is where Abba is kind of waiting off screen and comes in with the Vex to kind of end up destroying this team fight. We saw a couple of mistakes from both teams, especially around their Drake setup in terms of coordinating a flanking person. Tokoi on another fight gets blown up when he goes back in before the rest of FlyQuest can come in. So it's kind of what we expected from both of these teams, where they're not really playing to sides as much.
Yeah.
They're more playing for these team fights around neutrals.
Yeah, and I mean, this is what I enjoy about 100 Thieves, because when they get side pressure with the Aatrox, he's moving first, and so they get first vision on the objectives. And even that one instance where they didn't get it, Closer understood his role as a tank, face tanked first, going into the line bush for Dragon just to kind of help his team alongside, heals back up, gets on Dragon, and the 100 Thieves end up winning the fight. So it felt like there were no big errors on the side of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I still want to see more Vex, though. I've been a big proponent of Vex. This is my autofill mid laner.
Oh, Lord.
You can have huge pop-off Vex plays with the ultimate. It's difficult to pull off because, you know, the skill shot goes so far and because you need the accuracy, but you can have way bigger pop-off games than that, and it's a really good counter pick into LeBlanc and Ahri, but also some of the melee carries like Yasuo or Akali type carries in the mid lane too. So yes, it's cool that he brought it out. I want to see him pull it out again. I know he can do bigger and better.
Dash, have you played with Kobe's auto-filled Vex? Because
I have
the
not.
stink face when he said
I
that.
hate playing against Vexes.
Oh,
I
okay.
hate how wide her skill shot is. And then the fact that, there she is right now. You're like, that is so frustrating to play against. So it's an entirely personal hatred.
Okay,
Dodge the ult.
I was wondering.
Just
I
dodge it.
actually
Just
do have another
frickin'
point here.
dodge it.
And it's that, like, previously, I think we've been pretty harsh on Abadaga when 100 Thieves have made mistakes. It's come from some of these team fights where there might be miscoordination or he doesn't get pushed in lane and then gets rolled over. But he had a 92.3% kill participation in the game. So he was part of like almost every single thing that they did. He typically has like a 63.2 average. So it just shows how, I think, how much more coordinated and confident they are when he's on a pick like this, where he has so much agency and they can team fight with him in addition to their typical front to back, right, with FBI on a Jinx.
Now, 100 Thieves will be happy to get the win over a team that was next to them in the standings, but I do know that that organization is never going to be satisfied unless they believe they're challenging for the title at the end of the split. That all said, we're going to shift gears to our third game of the day. TSM's Huni and EG's Impact had plenty to say, though, about their experience facing off in their first year of the LCS. Check it out.
I mean, for the match of the 2016, there was like, it called the regional final. It was IMT versus C9, and I was at the IMT, and Impact was in C9, and I lost. Basically, it was like really close to the series, but I think, yeah, like I think it was a game 5 as well. I remember I think I was playing Kennen and he was playing Nar, and then I kind of got ran over. I do remember that I didn't really perform well, and I still have the memories.
I remember first time against Huni, I think I played Tronder against Riven, and we lane swapped that, and Riven got so many shots, and I got denied so much, and that's how we lost. Yeah, that's first game I remember. And second game is, I think I lost against Rumble. And after that, we met in the playoff, and I shit on him. And in the gauntlet, and it's world gauntlet, what I say, number 3, you know, going toward. Then I shit on him again, so that's I remember like, yeah, against Huni first time and how we going that split, you know, like summer season, I think 2016.
Oh my God! Can I just? I love that so much, because what's amazing about that is both of them were speaking about that whole experience with a smile on their face, right? Even though it went much better for one player than it did for the other.
The nonchalantness of it.
I mean, it also reminded me of the Huni Riven. Like, that is so far in the past, but was such a big deal. You know, the Huni Rumble and Gangplank will always be remembered because he used those for a super long time. But the Riven was so short-lived.
His Riven was the quadra kill call, right? Yeah, exactly. So we'll see if Huni can recapture some of that glory that I think a lot of people do attribute to him when he is playing at his absolute best as a playmaker for the squad. And while there is a lot of LCS history between those two, Huni and Impact, there's absolutely as well an academy rivalry, rather, unfolding today on the stage. Take a look.
Can you hear it?
Oh, what a tragedy that the audio there, unfortunately...
Who's sabotaging the Academy rivalry?
It was Huni and Impact.
Yeah, Huni and Impact were like, keep the spotlight on us. Don't shine it on those young guys, JoJo and Takeover. So while we don't have the video, unfortunately, we're still going to give those players their due in talking about them. JoJo obviously has had a storyline attached to him from the offseason up until this point. But for TSM, Kobe, Takeover coming in and to get that immediate win on his first outing for the team was definitely big. Got to continue to wonder how or whether or not they'll build around him and he'll become central to their strategies.
Yeah, there's so many rumors going around TSM right now. And I know people are reaching like for possible replacements already, but I definitely agree that Takeover had a good first outing with the team and kind of got incorporated pretty well. So I don't know. We can actually imagine what they were gonna say in the rivalry video. I'm pretty sure JoJo would be the one to take the impact side to be like, and then I shit on him. Because that's the type of attitude that we've seen from him.
From talking to people, it seems like Takeover really respected JoJo as a mid in going up against him and thought him to be one of, if not the best mid that he went up against, and kind of looked at him as someone to possibly emulate. Regarding TSM, they're definitely focusing on Takeover's picks because they just yesterday first picked Ahri blue side.
Yeah, and I mean for both these players, they have made a large impact in their debuts in the LCS. Like for jojopyun, we saw that in lock-in. For Takeover, he instantly got a Pog, and his last game was just inspirational too, just on his pick. So like, I think it's going to be really fun to watch these guys go up against each other.
Well, only one gets to come out on top in this matchup, and we'll soon know who it is as we hand it over to LeTigress. And as I just found out where Mark ran off to, up to the caster desk. Take it away.
Explain yourself.
I stole ya.
Yeah.
I brought you over here.
I ran away from the predictions. I want to just talk about the games. I don't want to predict them. That's too much work. Let's just talk about draft and what's going on in the game. That's more fun.
Yeah, that's how you get flamed. We're all here for the good vibes. I mean, TSM versus EG coming into this game, very different positions for both of these squads.
Yeah, and I'm sad that we lost the opportunity for the Takeover jojopyun matchup because they have played a lot in Academy last year. They gassed each other up as kind of like the only two mids. I forget which one said it. Like, we're the only two mids that mattered effectively in Academy. I don't want to put too many words in their mouth, but you know, Takeover was very complimentary of jojopyun, someone that he styled his play after a little bit in terms of trying to win lane and be proactive and aggressive. And it was really cool to hear them talking about their time together in Academy.
Yeah, and while there are some similarities in the way that they've styled off of one another, they do have those key differences if we're looking at TSM's success in their win coming off of those comfort picks, right? Whether it was Huni on the Rumble, you had Takeover on the Silas. Over on EG side, looks like they're shifting towards some very familiar picks for themselves as well, potentially, but actually it's the Lee Sin that's locked in for Spica.
Yep, Spica grabbing that one up, wants to have some proactivity in the early game. TSM, I think, have been a lot better in the early game so far since they've brought in Takeover. They were bottom of the barrel, last in goal difference at 15 by a pretty significant margin. They have climbed above, I believe it's CLG. They're like right behind Immortals. They're going up the standings a little bit as they get these more aggressive early game comps, and they are slamming through this draft.
Yeah, get the Syndra locked in, and that's one of the things for Takeover. While last year his focus was more on those melee picks, on those assassins, he has made this shift towards control mages, primarily because of their place within the meta and how he can adapt to the team.
But it is still the like aggressive version of the control mage. Things like Ori and Azir, some of these are a lot less lane dominant, whereas the Syndra is something that you can play around. Syndra Lee Sin's a very famous at 6, you kind of just die combination. And so EG are going to get some mids probably banned out here since they ended up taking the Hecarim to combine with the Zeri and Nautilus. Very good team fight comp so far for EG.
And that's where a lot of them have shown, right? Danny, for instance, continuing to be absolutely explosive off the damage charts. And when you have someone like Zeri that can feel extremely comfortable in the latter stages, you can for sure index into that on the EG side. Whereas TSM, talking about that comfort level, Huni's played quite a few games of Graves compared to some of the other picks thus far, though notably not necessarily the success that you're looking for, but still having something that can pair well with the rest of what's coming through on the table for TSM. Going through these final levels of the bans, a couple bot laners taken away from Tactical.
Yeah, a couple bot laners taken away. Tactical, he has some bright moments and some big mistakes. Yesterday, TSM, right when it felt like they were in control to win that game, there's that big misposition by Tactical, gets hit by the Lux binding, and that's kind of been the story of Tactical's career, that he makes a lot of really good plays that stand out, but then it's also the flip side, the Malphite plays that he kind of talked about in one of his interviews. He still is leading the league in AD carry deaths right now. Part of that is just you're on a losing team, that tends to happen, but I still think there are instances where you see these kinds of mistakes come through.
And I want to know how that frustration can be mounting and even affect the way that you play through some of these games on the TSM side. Taking a couple looks over at his camera after some of these plays, and you see that hesitancy, you see kind of that inner turmoil that erupts and can bleed into the rest of the game. But hopefully a nice clean slate here today as they go into this against EG.
Yeah, they have their whole bot lane to take care for Tactical and Shenyi. They'll at least get full counter pick since the Zeri and Nautilus were taken so early on. The sad part of this matchup, Syndra Ori, we were gassing up to 2 mid laners. Oh, this is gonna be hype, here we go. And then they play a pretty stock standard matchup where it's like, all right, Syndra wins a little bit early, then Ori gets her Merc treads, and she can sometimes put extra points in E to survive the matchup, and then she becomes more useful later. It's a very boring matchup, all things considered. Hopefully we get some spiciness out of the side laners then, with the Graves still waiting for EG's counter pick for impact, and the bot lane for TSM. Going for some playmaking for Yurson.
Yeah, Ali.
Oh, excuse me, Shenyi.
Yeah, come up. I mean, they're switching it so often, right? How are they supposed to keep up with that one?
Well, we just cast Yurson together in Academy. It's like,
I feel like we've gotten to know TSM so well because we've been covering their Academy matches too, and just watching the players come into LCS, and it's, oh yeah, I've seen you for weeks on end.
Yep.
Ready to take it on. But now in the final lock-in here for EG, trying to find what they want to bring into Huni in the top side.
Oh, and it's another Sion. Oh, the Sion goes up higher and higher in priority. EG go into the full late game team fight, team comp. They're saying, TSM, if you don't just slam us super hard in the early game, we're going to win on default with scaling. You know, that kind of does make sense given that TSM has indexed more into early game recently, and it kind of feels that way again here. So a lot of pressure on TSM and to make some plays early, get a goal lead, and actually end this before it gets too late.
And when you're looking at the position that TSM is in, right, where it's do or die for them to pull themselves into a potential position to get into playoffs, whereas EG want to prove that they are still that team that we saw in lock-in. But we'll find out soon enough on the Rift. Game number 3 of the day here for the LCS, but the stakes are still high. As we noted, TSM, all the pressure on the line coming into this to prove that they are worthy of positioning themselves for playoffs or even being on the uprise in the latter portions of this split. EG, on the other hand, bring a lot of firepower that they're waiting to scale into.
Yeah, and I think for EG, it's an important game in the sense that they are still battling for their playoff lives, technically. It is a 6-team playoffs in spring, and there is a big competition right now. Feels like there's 4 teams competing for, or excuse me, 6 teams competing for 4 spots. Obviously, TSM and C9 feel pretty locked, but then for 100 Thieves, FlyQuest, Dig, EG, Immortals even could potentially be in that playoff hunt. Like, there's a lot of teams still trying to find their way in, and you know, at 5 and 7, that is surprising to see EG there after being lock-in finalists.
Dead in the middle of the soup, your favorite word, Mark.
Nope, it's not.
Favorite food? Yeah, I brought some for you today. All right, stakes high, steak good. TSM, we'll see what they can do early though, because already a focus from EG coming over towards the middle, and Takeover down on low. First blood into Danny's pocket.
I love seeing all these Nautilus level 1s. I was just talking about this after the TL game. I was highlighting how you can use Nautilus in a lot of ways to find kills around mid lane early, and that's exactly what they do. Takeover's trying to pressure, trying to assert his dominance as early as he can. He thinks he's the better player, you know, wants to make a name against JoJo, and gets punished for it right out the gate. And fortunately for TSM, there was no time to reset and spend that gold. There were no summoner spells expended except the teleport for Takeover, which does hurt a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. So Vulcan won't have his ignite. That's a little less pressure on the bot side. It will matter, you know, for the scaling of EG to have a good start to the game, but this right here is just, you know, intelligent. Impact is posturing around there. They don't know that Vulcan is right over the side of the wall there, and I think this is a smart hold to not flash here by Takeover. Just accept the fact that you died. Unfortunate, but don't make it worse by trying to flash away and then dying, and then you can no longer pressure safely in the lane.
Which honestly, a lot of times with younger players can be one of the most difficult things to grasp. When should you hold that level of restraint? So props to him for holding on to that, especially because that teleport will eventually come up. As long as you're keeping decent track of where Inspired could be, you could keep yourself safe in the meantime until you need to utilize that once again to get back to lane.
Yes, so Spica looks like he avoided that ward there, beginning to be clearing bot to top. Might try and make an early move on this mid lane since it was not the start that they wanted for Takeover, but just hovering. I like these kind of like option select ganks that people sometimes go for, where you spend an extra second or two hovering around and see if an opportunity presents itself. Otherwise, you haven't really interrupted your clear and you get to go right back into farming the wolves.
And with TSM going with this earlier game strat, you do want to make sure that Spica is finding those opportunities, not hanging around too long wherever necessary. I'm also just curious to track how Spica and Inspired do in this game as we come through a pause right here, because it's been mentioned before on the broadcast that these are two MVP junglers that are facing off against one another, but not typically with the same energy that you would expect from that. Spica still struggling to find the way with TSM as they're forming their synergy and their style, whereas Inspired wanting to, be able to impact the team in the same way that he has on previous rosters. It sounds like JoJo needed to change some settings here. So
yes, I think there might be something he missed in the pre-check. Everyone's supposed to do that before the game, but didn't quite get it through. During the pause, though, I think there's an ability in mid-flight in bot lane. I'm not sure what it is because I can't move the camera when it's paused. But they were saying, will it land, Tactical Ass? Vulcan said, it will. Tactical said, nice. And then Vulcan said, the anticipation's killing me, though. And they're having a full conversation on some skill shot mid-air right now. They say, what's the HP on it? Can't tell. Looks like it's 7, right? And they're like legit having a full-blown conversation about some skill shot in the bot lane.
So we are in the stage of Dragon Ball Z with the Super Saiyan wind-up, but they have just paused right in the middle and waiting for that final explosion and anticipation rising on the side of EG.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. We will have to see if this is like actually an impactful thing that they're discussing or they're just trolling me. Because I'm like, wait, is like someone about to get level 2 all in? Or like, is someone about to get hit by a hook and then they're going to die? Because sometimes like what happens based off the fact they're talking about skill shots and if it's going to hit or not, you throw it when a minion's about to die. So when someone kind of walks up, they don't think that they're about to get hit. The minion dies, the skill shot passes right through, so you can try and sneak a hook through, maybe is what it is. I feel like I'm building this whole play up, and we're gonna get down there, and it's like a Danny Q or something, like just like something super lame.
EG though are now creating their own meta of how to respond after pauses because after the IMT making that
what was it? Was it just an auto?
What happened?
I think it was just an auto if they thought he was actually gonna get a last hit or not. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, audience, for making this seem like it was going to be cool. That's on me.
You were just painting the picture for everyone that was missing out on the action.
I assumed it was funny since the players were talking about it.
All right, let's take a look.
Oh, we have a replay of it. Let's go. Oh, it's the auto. If he was going to get it instead. Oh, he got it. All right, Vulcan. He knew it. He said he was so confident in that, too. He's like, this is definitely, I'm going to get the last hit on it. So there he goes. Gets the Targon proc off. It's not negligible.
That is very important when you're in the support position, making sure that you get that off. So I like that they're paying that much attention to.
And I know it's not called Targons anymore, but it's just so
in my head.
Yeah, I can't not call it that when I'm speaking quickly.
Back into Face of Mountain and all that jazz.
Yeah, all those weird support items.
Yep, just trying to make things difficult for us. But anyways, success for Vulcan there. Success for them in that early stage.
So I like what Huni's doing here, trying to get some wards out onto Hecarim. They do see him already, but this is just to continue marking him on his clear. You know where he is, so that means it's a safe time to get some vision down. And Huni, for me, is a very tough player to quantify this season. Obviously, TSM is struggling immensely. He is a part of that struggle. And his stats are absolutely destroyed from the multiple Lulu roaming top games that he played. But in recent weeks, I feel like he's played well in terms of generating pressure and doing things like that, helping his team out. But he hasn't gotten many resources to do anything to blow the game open. He's actually lowest in kills in top lane. Just raw number of kills. And he also has no solo kills, only top laner without any solo kills this season. And that is such a strange thing for a dynamic player like Huni to just hear looked at, he's you know, I think he's playing well, but he's not impacting the game massively.
Been extremely muted and quiet, whether it's on the Rift or beyond. But here we go with a knock-up onto Vulcan, already getting burned down in the wraparound from Inspired and Jojo to try and punish this as much as possible. Shenyi getting some hits over from that Zeri, but the trade is good. Jojo picking one up. It's 2 down for TSM and 1 down support side for EG.
Nice job by Vulcan there. Before they get the wave in, giving his body up to set that play up. They had the roam priority from Jojo and Inspired, getting down there, making that play happen. Jojo looks like he moved on an off timing window, didn't actually get the shove. Is going to lose a little bit of CS for doing so, but I think he's more than happy to accelerate that Zeri.
Takeover and Spica hovering over on this mid side, and that is something that you want to track with Jojo, as they do get the flash out from Takeover returning to lane here, so another summoner acquired for them. But Jojo has been working really hard, based on interviews that Inspired has done with Travis Gafford and many other sources, that they're working on him playing more for the team than the individual.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of that. A little dicey there if Vulcan was going to face check, but I think they played the little moments very well there. Jojo takes the safer path to get through mid so he doesn't get killed by Takeover, and then Vulcan on his respawn doesn't just instantly run down bot lane. He helps re-establish control for Jojo, who you know kind of lost. You can still see him hovering around mid lane right here, working on getting some vision down, because they kind of lose that when you give this roam up. Here's that play again, just flashing on top of Tactical, being a threat and making sure that the wave doesn't get reset. You know, Tactical now has to commit to actually get that kill. They were dead in the water, I think, no matter what, so that's kind of why Tactical went in to at least make it a 1 for 2, but that's still a huge trade up for Zeri.
Warded all the way down as well for some pretty clean and safe pathing. But here, EG holding on to an early lead. A lot of the fans declaring it all ready to be over, but I think there's a lot of game to be had. Of course, they're going to have that level of confidence. But Danny working into the boots already, has some of that lifesteal available to him, so some comfort in the lane, even though things on the opposite side are still posing a threat. TSM wanting to make those early game plays.
I like how Dignitas is a TSM fan right now. That one of those tweets was from
that's
Dignitas
big.
saying, please beat EG so we can climb above them in the standings. That's kind of that playoff hunt that I was talking about. The teams also know that they'll take help when they can get it.
Yeah, so many of the teams are really close in the standings, and with that 6 top cutoff, you have to take every game very seriously from here on out. But if we are looking at a lot of the power sources over from TSM, Tactical is one of them and is currently getting focused and just pushed out right now. So Shenyi directly under turret. The dive is here. Vulcan taking as much of the aggro as possible, but dodging as much as he can. Even with the wave coming through, it allows Tactical to come back into this just a bit. The Cathian Rain, but the onslaught of shadows could come through and punish. Shenyi's taken out of it, and Tactical, the last sliver of life, isn't good enough. The juggling is good though, and EG come out on top.
Both teams making dives happen at the same time. TSM's was successful in the top lane. Huni getting some of those kills that we were just talking about him not getting. It's nice to see Spica and him comboing well, but on the flip side, that means your bot lane is unattended to, and it's already been going south for them, and Zeri continues to pick up more kills.
All right, so different prioritizations from either of these teams, and mentioning the fact that we want to see what Huni can do and having an impact later on in the game. And Impact and Huni actually having some choice words going into this as well, based on their previous matchups.
Yeah, I won't repeat it. It was a little vulgar, a little potty mouth on Impact in that interview, but he thinks that he has slammed Huni, it feels like, for the majority of the times they have matched up. I think he's had a better career in North America. You could argue, though, Huni has been very successful, and now Huni's getting a little bit of payback with Spica. Just starts the dive. I think Impact was expecting Spica to insta-take that Q and wanted to get the knock-up interrupt damage on the second half of the Q proc, but just a little bit of hesitation there by Spica means he just biffs it into the turret, and then they kill him right after. On the flip side, this was just Tactical and Shenyi not wanting to give up this wave. They're already falling behind, and at 6, it's much easier to survive this because Shenyi with his ultimate can really tank this forever while Tactical just hangs back. But because it's so early in the game, he gets put down low. I like the patience there. For the redive, the stopwatch as well by Vulcan. They played that super clean to get all those kills.
And you have to really pay attention to things like a lot of these supports bringing that stopwatch just for that specific ability to draw things out and solidify the play for the rest of the team. Vulcan being a very primary example of that. and they know that Danny is going to be such a force later on. So the more you can capitalize upon the fact that he got that first blood, is working into that bounty right now, and the force that he is building is such a strength for EG, whereas TSM bringing their attention elsewhere. Spica all around this mid side right now, but caught out by the ward, so just going to take it out and retreat.
It's a really interesting position right now because Huni is 30 CS up about with the kill. He's going to become a side lane monster. It looks like he's going for shield bow potentially instead of the... Hold on, we might get a fight over the Rift Herald. I can continue this in a second.
Rift Herald primary right now, and Tactical and Shenyi are making their slow walk up towards it too, because there is such a focus from EG collapsing upon the objective, using the Ori ball to zone as much as possible. So Spica isn't in it, but is looking for the angle to potentially queue in. Does not manage to land the Sonic Wave and the stun up onto Huni right now. Zoning good from EG, and they take this objective and walk it out.
Shenyi has flash, but it does feel hard to just brute force through the entire team of EG.
Oh, Shenyi goes in, knock up onto 2, and on the opposite side, Vulcan and Inspired focus down onto Spica. Multiple stuns onto EG's side as well, and the shadows come in once more. Vulcan flashing forward to get the hook. Huni is over the wall. Blast Cone for some additional distance, but Spica rounded out by EG. Double kill for Inspired. 3 down for TSM.
8 kills already for EG. That was well played by Inspired, finding that re-engage after Shenyi was unable to really set up a kill for the side of TSM. Spica got a cleanup kill on the backside, but he had to put himself in a dangerous position to do it. And Danny, an expert Zeri player, finds that nice wall ride over the Baron wall to get on top of him again.
And you do want to see Spica trying to go for ways to contest so that EG can't get absolutely out of hand, but it was so difficult with the way it was positioned.
Yeah, this is just, you're trying to force through their front line for Shenyi. They were late to this rotation. They feel bad that they're up here and get nothing for it, so Shenyi kind of brute forces his way in. jojopyun finds a nice counter engage with the ultimate to stop any potential follow-up, a 2-man shockwave, which sets up Inspired to have them kind of pincered up against that wall. They kind of ignore Spica, who does find this cleanup kill onto Impact and kind of tries to ward hop right out, but there's Danny on the collapse, finds that kill. It's not over yet, maybe.
Yeah, because Dragon's been up this entire time on the bot side, so that is where both teams are looking towards now. Inspired is in the vicinity, but Spica off in his jungle. They don't want to contest this right now. They are a bit behind. A couple mythics already finished for EG.
This is such a disaster for TSM. We're talking about them probably having a stronger early game comp. They've already given up 8 kills. First Rift Herald's gone over to EG. They're getting first Dragon as well. It's already kind of fallen apart. It feels like everything is on Huni now. Like, can you save the game? But he hasn't even gone, you know, with the Hullbreaker nerfs that came in on 12.5. He's not even really going that. It's not as effective on ranged anymore, so he's going for the like I said, the shield bow. It'll make him a little better in team fights if they end up having to do that, but it feels like team fighting is already out of the window.
And the Graves play we saw yesterday also going that direction with the build, so some more tradition before we saw those changes. But right now the contest over red means that Vulcan hooks onto Shenyi once more. Unbreakable Will already activated in the double knockup onto the support and the jungle duo, but Shenyi responds with a headbutt of his own, a kick away from Vulcan, so he's zoned off, and EG loses one in the process, but all of TSM is up. Red still focused. Tactical, another shot will do it. Danny's going for it with a little zippy zap gun, finally lands it and gets another kill here. So just an even trade, 1 for 1, but the buff already granted.
Yeah, Tactical tried to make some fancy footwork at the end there to stay alive, but Danny finishes him off. Not the cleanest engage, 1 for 1, but you still get the red buff on the back end of it. You get a lot of vision control as well, so Danny can safely retreat into lane and start pushing that again right away.
So shield bow for shield bow now on both sides, Huni and Danny having completed that. So starting to get online a bit, and yes, while not the cleanest moment there, still a lot to be capitalized upon. That Rift Herald that was earned earlier now dropped down over on that bot side, because eventually you got to throw it somewhere.
Yeah, I'm interested to see why they chose to do this. It looks like because they want to bring more resources up potentially to protect the top lane turret while taking the bot lane on their own. So Inspired dropped that for for Danny, and then just ran up to the top side to help protect Impact, I believe, around this turret. Spica, they saw hovering around there. They're trying to, I think, neutralize the single win con that they feel like TSM still has at this point. That's why Vulcan has been up here for a long time.
Yep, this being prior to the 14 minutes as well, that means a complete plate hit for that Rift Herald for EG to inject that much more gold into them, whereas TSM, though, now the subject of an unstoppable onslaught from Impact. Nothing to happen off of that, though.
We got to bring back Sion Speedway.
Yeah.
Producers, bring back the driving the Sion through the rift. That was an opportunity there. I actually don't think there was anyone in that lane for him to have hit, like that kind of around the Baron wall, but still want to see a little more.
Is easy mode just Sion Speedway on ARAM?
I've never tried it on ARAM because, I mean, it doesn't sound very fun. Not the driving portion of it, at least.
If you
don't
need
make
to
any
pick
turns.
me up for the day and you're like, I did that, I made it to the other end, perhaps so, but not going to get that action here. A very quick run, a sprint for impact in that regard, but TSM continuing to focus over on this top side. They have been keeping their eyes on this turret for quite some time, with Huni infecting a lot of gold into himself from that just clearing of the waves, and now moving that over towards bot so he can collect that much more.
This is the problem, and I think for why a lot of top laners don't feel good when they fall behind, like the rest of the team falls behind as a top laner, because your individual advantage in competitive gets neutralized through tempo plays. Your bot lane falls behind, their bot lane gets first reset, they get to go into your lane. Now you're 2v1ing against the strong part of their map and you can't do anything, so you have to go chase the Sion around, but you're always behind on plays. Huni is, you know, protecting a tier 2 despite being the strongest member of his team. That feels really bad after getting ahead in the early game, and that's why I feel like TSM are in a lot of trouble, because EG are doing a good job so far of keeping the tempo up, but not feeling like they're pressed to do too much. The goal lead has steadily increased since that Rift Girl fight. It's now up to 3.7k, and we'll see if they can continue to control the early game.
So then what do you do if you're on the TSM side? And a lot of the early plays that you were hoping to make happen with this composition didn't really come through, getting pushed in a little bit and just waiting on that chance to even out the odds.
At this point, it's pretty rough. Can you contest the dragon fight? I think that's the question you have to ask, because you can't sit back and do nothing. It's, do we swap everyone topside and look for a later dragon fight? We can potentially grab the top turret, or do we actually fight them at the dragon and try and stem them their advantage that they've been accruing? It's really hard to win a team fight down 4k, but it's not going to get easier with time, with the fact that EG have the better front-to-back team fight team comp.
And that poke is going to get that much stronger. jojopyun with the Ludens right now, and then Takeover still working into his mythic. So trying to keep yourself into safe territory as long as possible. There's also such aggressive warding from EG's side into the enemy jungle, which allows them to freely take the second Herald for themselves without contest. And Spica on the other side, wanting to set up for this Drake that's going to be spawning in 20 seconds.
Yeah, TSM know they can't really win a team fight right now, so they are trying to get more gold onto Huni. Spica's moving his way down there, but they still feel like they can't dive the Sion. It's pretty easy for Sion at this point to stack some armor and just survive Graves and Lee Sin, who are both a little bit more early game oriented. Their burst damage can be good, but it's not that insane if you're a full tank champion.
Wherever Danny goes, the Rift Herald follows. He was over in bot when the first one was dropped by EG, and now over towards top as the slam is good. 4.6k gold lead for EG now. And with the time that they have acquired from that, they can rotate over towards the dragon. Spica's already started it up, has to take down that control ward, even a Scriber's Bloom to get some more intel on TSM. The majority of them over on the outskirts, but Shenyi and a flank teleport coming in as well. Triple knockup from him, but the Q charge up from Impact is here for the return. A nice lockdown and immediate burn down of Jojo might do something, but Spica effectively brought out because of his low HP. 2 down right now for EG, a support lost for TSM, and the zoning's good, but Danny, he's in pixel right now, not caught out by any vision when he was making this pathing, but immediately locked up, goes and activates as much damage as he possibly can, but it's Spica that gets the objective here. Inspired, marked down low, but has a movement speed to get out of the way. Danny taking up as much of the CC as he possibly can. Another charged up Q from Impact. Can he get the lockdown onto Tactical? But the escape is good thus far. Spica into the center of the pit he goes. Inspired coming through to set it up. Danny getting the cleanup. Tactical, about 250 HP to his name, gets out of it. Support already spawning up from that, and what a scrap it was around Dragon.
EG wanted to have their cake and eat it too. They dropped that Rift Herald in the top lane for Danny, like you said, but he doesn't have teleport. Huni was matching him. That led to that insane team fight that just happened. And on the tail end of it, Danny just mashing that Q over the wall, hoping someone walks into range of it. He actually had a couple nice little tricks that he used on Zeri there to stay alive, because he was under a lot of pressure. That fight was one of those odd man fights. It started as a 5v4 in TSM's favor, which is why they were able to kind of clean it up, especially given that Danny is the one they funneled all their gold onto. He was not there at the start of the fight, and when he did show up, there's a lot of pressure onto him. So Shenyi's not in a great spot. This is not an ideal engage. The TP comes in, but he's just spotted on that vision there. That last clip alerts Inspired to turn around, focus down onto him, and TSM is now in catch-up mode to try and get in range for Huni. This was the right idea, though. Take this 5v4 because EG is getting very greedy with where Zeri is on the map. Zeri is collapsing. They're able to find a couple of kills, but they couldn't finish off Inspired. And obviously, Sion's just an insanely fat meatball right now. You're not going to kill him. And then when Danny finally shows up, they're just not able to land enough abilities at the same time to kill him. Huni goes in, tries to blow him up. The Syndra ult is still up, but they couldn't get in range to drop it on him. Then they go in to try and finish off Inspired. He runs away. Danny has a nice use of the E movement out of the way of that Lee Sin Q. A lot of people save it for the walls to hop on them. Hold on, we're coming back into live.
Oh no, Impact finds two, but gets the stun up and has the rest of his team coming through. Another teleport over on the EG side, and swishing around onto Spica means that he goes into the grave next. Huni already pursued by multiple members of his opposition. Can he get enough damage down to take someone down with them? Not so much, because Jojo is there with a shockwave. If anything were to happen, EG coming out on top.
Trying to make an odd man play there, but it takes so long to kill Impact. It gives plenty of time for the rest of EG to show up, reinforce the Sion, pick up those kills. The gold lead up to 6,500 now. The only bright spot you can possibly say is the dragon stacking has slightly been slowed from that last situation.
Still 2.5 minutes until the next one comes up, so you have to figure out what are we going to do in the meantime on TSM side when we have been pushed in with all of our outer turrets being targeted and taken down, our gold deficit being 7k, and a lot of the vision that they have established can't get it into a proactive positioning. But the nice thing about it being a while towards that objective is the fact that you can buy a little bit of time, maybe collect yourselves once more. But EG right here in the bush. Oh no, Spica steps up into it, and the entire team was waiting to take him down.
Oh, Spica trying to do this job for his team. Check Baron, get some vision control out, but just too easily to blow up at this point in the game. Not that tanky of a Lee Sin, and with the cooldown reduction boots, able to get blown up.
And with that, EG turn their sights towards the Baron. Pretty easily for them to take when they know that the enemy jungler is nowhere to be found and on that gray screen. So another buff here with 4K onto EG side.
Yeah, the Baron being down means this game is all but over already. Huni's going to do his best to split push already, but that means Takeover is alone.
And another ultimate right into his face. You've got 3 members of EG here, baby. Shenyi and Spica, they want to try and then bring their attention over towards their mid side because then Tactical was in trouble, and Danny's just going to get that much stronger. Impact here, so beefy, so able to zone the members of TSM. Shockwave to pull Shenyi into the vicinity of this turret, but you don't even have to finish him off because who's there to do the damage to follow up? Spica saying,
he surrenders.
Please, just let me escape freely, Sir Impact.
He's trying to get out. Nice W over the wall to get away. Spica just rezzed, so it'd be pretty sad to go back to the death chamber right away. The map has fallen apart completely for TSM. They didn't end up losing that top inhibitor because Shenyi was a good enough distraction with Spica, but you can feel the game has totally come off the wheels. 10k gold deficit for TSM. EG looking really good. I want to say Inspired this game has been incredible, both in finding opportunities for ganks and in team fights. He has done exactly what he needed to do. Vulcan as well, being the primary setup for a lot of these plays, has looked quite good. Danny gets to be the guy who looks cool for it, getting super fed, getting all these Rift Heralds dropped for him. Now he gets to pop off in team fights, but I gotta say, I'm giving more credit to Inspired and Vulcan.
Well, and I think that when focusing in on Inspired specifically, even yesterday, right, in their game against Team Liquid, he had some good moments that were more on the disengaging side, right? Kicking away at Bjergsen, but it was because there was so much pressure from their opposition, he didn't really have as much an opportunity to make a proactive play. And here, right off the bat, was doing just that to set up the team, knowing where those carries are and knowing how to make sure they get fully online. Because look, 4 bounties across multiple members of EG, feeling really good about what they're bringing through as they take down more turrets and keep their sights on these inhibitor turrets as well.
Yep, definitely looking like a clean win out from here. They did get some objective bounties for TSM on some of these turrets that they picked up, tier 1s, but during that time, EG has made use of it. They're now breaking into the inhibitors.
Full force ahead for EG, sending Inspired over towards mid with the majority of the team down bot. Just look how speedy Danny can make his movement as well on a pick like Zeri to join them. And the Baron buff is still good for a few more seconds, about 30 seconds at that, to see if they continue to pressure on. And it looks like they don't want to go anywhere, and TSM are getting rattled into a corner.
It's hard for TSM to find an angle. It's basically fishing with Syndra stuns or Shenyi just Hex flashing on top of them. He doesn't have his actual flash, so it means it's very easy for EG to move from inhibitor to inhibitor and grab all 3 of these.
looking like a stroll in the park from the mid side towards top, and now Huni focused by Inspire. The Onslaught of Shadows brought through once more, and then the big burn down happens. So Shenyi getting knocked up, trying to get to the rest of his team, but Inspired finds another target. Tactical retreating into the fountain. It's something that we have seen before from TSM, and not a good sight if you're on their fan side, but EG fans feeling really good. They get the Bud Light ace, they take down the first tower, they take down the second, and as they hit on to the Nexus, EG proving the strength that they have going into the latter portion of this split, and what a good sight it has been to see.
It looks like they're waiting to kill Spica again. I don't know if that slight delay was there. There we go. EG end the game. Absolutely slaughter TSM and this one. An inch closer to getting back to that 500 record that I think everyone expected them to be above. And this is a very nice win for them to pick up on that way.
Yeah, so much play that happened early on and knowing exactly where they wanted to focus. Sad faces on the side of TSM as they really need to try and figure out what's going to work for them in the future. But evil geniuses have been focusing on trying to make sure that the young guns are all caught up to the veterans on the squad, and it was going pretty well in this game.
This game from level 1 was being won, I think, by Vulcan and Inspired. The initial level 1 set up for Vulcan to find that kill, then the second one in the bot lane, flashing on top and starting to chain feed these. And Impact, he was Sion. He accepts that, like, I'm going to get attacked, I'm going to fall down CS, and I might even get dove, because if my jungler's showing around my strong point on the map, that means it's free for them to kill me. And I think Impact is a player who is confident enough in himself to be like, I can have a game where I look like I don't do anything in the early game. It's fine. My team's going to win because of this.
When you think about his career over the past few years, and we've gotten to see different sides to him in his play, being the carry, being a facilitator, but early on, right, it was, oh, Impact, always willing to take one for the team, always willing to be, that guy that's got everyone on his back. And whenever he has to play that way, it goes very well.
Yeah, I think it's something that for players early in their career, I can understand the concern of how it looks if you're getting slammed in lane because you're letting your team do things on the other side of the map. But like I said, Impact has such a storied career. He's such an incredible top laner. He knows how good he is. You heard him talking smack about Huni. He still probably thinks he dominated this game because this is what the draft does for me. I lose lane, and then I become a team fighter later.
Yeah, he said, I did my job. It's all good. That's what I'm supposed to be here to do. And then bringing that note again to Inspired and Vulcan. Vulcan went on this Nautilus, which is a pick that's just coming up more in prominence, but even being able to land those hooks, it feels like sometimes you can get in a groove or not a groove with it, right? And we're seeing him more in that groove recently than not.
Yeah, I think Vulcan was one of the primary people to find opportunities in the lock-in tournament. He was maybe the most proactive, you could say, in the early game. Him and Jojo, obviously. Jojo has been dominating lane stats across the board. He is by far the best in CSD. He has like 9 more than the next closest at 10. And then he also has the highest goal difference. I was like, he is crushing it. That's fine. But I think playmaking-wise, it was Vulcan. And seeing him have a really good game on the Nautilus is what you want to see going forward.
Yeah, and it's been Inspired as well, though. I mean, Hecarim being just a comfortable pick for him to bring through, and then having that really great target selection in a lot of these fights is something that you want to rely upon when it comes to a leader of this team. And he and Vulcan have both been vocal about the fact that they are the voices that you're looking to make those calls.
Yeah, as positionally, you just have a lot of go buttons, and so it's expected of you, but Vulcan has been stepping up, given that for a while on Cloud9, it felt like there were other veterans around him, and now it's kind of him and Inspired leading.
Yeah, well, EG definitely on the upswing with a lot of momentum behind them. We are going to take a quick breather, but when we return, Hai is talking pro to pro with Huni, so catch you there.